Hey folks, welcome to this special edition MC Commute starring Honda's 2021 Rebel 1100. That's right, Honda's introduced a big displacement Rebel motorcycle for the 2021 model year, and we're going for a ride on it today.
All right, everyone, here we are during this special edition MC Commute at the official US press introduction for Honda's 2021 Rebel 1100. As seen right here, this is the biggest, baddest Rebel Honda's ever produced. Honda's been making these motorcycles since 1985, 36 years of Rebel awesomeness, and what started as an entry-level motorcycle designed to get people out and riding has morphed to line of motorcycles designed for entry-level riders with the Rebel 300. Folks that want a little bit more pep with the parallel twin 471cc Rebel 500. Now Honda's 1084cc, which is right around, I think, 67 cubic inches if my math's right in my head, parallel twin. So 3 Rebel options for you. And Honda cited that when Rebel 500 riders wanted something bigger, they had nowhere to go. They would purchase another manufacturer's cruiser type motorcycle, and they didn't want that to happen, so they made this Rebel 1100. This motorcycle is powered by Honda's 1084cc single overhead cam liquid cooled parallel twin. This is the power unit that's used in Honda's Africa Twin. For 2020, last year, the Africa Twin received a displacement boost, added stroke, increased displacement to 1084cc, and that stroke boost really helped the Africa Twin. We talked about it extensively in our CRF Africa Twin First Ride review and MC Commute review, both on the Motorcyclist Mag YouTube channel and the motorcyclistonline.com website. So read those articles to get up to speed on the improvements that engine offers compared to its 999cc, I believe it was, predecessor. And of course, this parallel twin works very well in this cruiser application. Has gobs of torque, good horsepower. When we dyno tested that engine configuration last year, it made right around 90 horsepower. So this thing doesn't feel quite as peppy as the Africa Twin power plant, but still has right around 90 horsepower. Now, some of the components that were modified versus the Africa Twin power plant is the mass of the flywheel increased 20% on this bike. The larger flywheel gives more torque effect. The engine feels like it has a little bit more torque. It also is a little slower to rev, so a little bit more lumpy, and it suits the character of a V-twin S cruiser more aptly. The intake and exhaust were also tweaked, and the camshaft design is different. And what that allows is it allows the engine to have a slightly different character. Of course, this parallel twin has an offset engine firing order. So pretty much all modern parallel twin engine configurations use this offset firing order, and that gives the engine more of a V-twin-esque feel. Of course, because it's a Honda, of all the uneven firing interval parallel twins we have ridden lately, this one is the smoothest and feels the most refined. But at the same time, I wish it had more V-twin-esque feel. This Rebel 1100 is outfitted with Honda's fantastic dual clutch transmission, DCT. That's right, there is no clutch lever to actuate, no gear shift lever to press up or down. The transmission has a pair of clutches inside which automatically change gears for you. 6 speeds, fully automatic operation. Of course, you can push this button and go into manual shifting mode, which allows you to select the drive gear using these paddle style switches on the left hand control right there. So Honda's been making these DCT transmissions for 11 years now. 11 years, isn't that crazy? They've been doing it so long and have applied the technology into so many different platforms that this could be the 8th or 9th generation DCT system. But very awesome. I've always been a fan of these DCT transmissions ever since they came out, and they keep getting better. They shift faster, they perform more accurately to throttle input and vehicle conditions. One feature this DCT does not have is it doesn't have G mode. The Africa Twin in 2020 introduced a G mode, which stands for gravel mode in the DCT, and what that does is it locks up the clutch quicker. So the clutch locks up faster, and it just gives it more responsive acceleration when you twist the throttle. And I really like that feature. I like an aggressive clutch. I like something that really mashes in quickly and has a really responsive feel. So even though G mode is made for off-road riding, I would have liked if Honda would have integrated that clutch lockup mechanism electronics in this Rebel 1100. But besides that, it works really well. We are riding in full power mode, which is signified by this P, this full P here. Honda selectable torque control, that's Honda speak for traction control, is manually disabled. There are 3 levels. We have it manual disabled, so we can try to do wheelies over crests in the road, and we can also light up the back end of the bike when we're riding in the gravel to do turnarounds. I really like doing that. So that's why we have torque control off. Engine brake control. Yes, this 1100cc cruiser has engine brake control. Now, right now we have it in the least intrusive setting. So this bike has the least amount of engine brake control right now, signified by the smallest amount of bars. If you want maximum engine brake, you simply increase the bars to a fully illuminated pattern. The final electronic aid here is this D that's fully illuminated. That means that the engine will rev out to near maximum RPM before it shifts. If you want the motorcycle to short shift before maximum RPM, you can decrease that. So that is the electronics on this motorcycle. Of course, it also has cruise control. All of these electronics are facilitated by ride-by-wire. Honda was so slow to get into ride-by-wire throttle systems, but ever since they unveiled that 2017 CBR 1000RR, they've come in hot and heavy with the ride-by-wire, and they have the system very well sorted. This motorcycle also benefits from an IMU powered traction control. That chip is the same chip that's used in your smartphone, and it gives the vehicle positional awareness. So when you're leaned over, when you're pitched on the brakes, when you're pitched on the throttle, the motorcycle knows its position relative to the asphalt, and that allows it to give more responsive traction control input based on your vehicle speed and position on the road. Now, because this motorcycle has a dual clutch transmission, it's got this neat parking brake right here. This parking brake is used when you're at idle so the motorcycle doesn't roll forward or backward. To disengage the parking brake, you press that and there you go. Because it's DCT, whenever you have the drive mode selected, the throttle is live, it's hot. So whenever you twist the throttle, the motorcycle is going to go forward. DCT is a lot like riding a scooter, where you want to go faster, you just twist the throttle. You want to stop, you just use the brake. And I really like the simplified riding experience of a dual clutch transmission. Not only does it make the motorcycle easier to ride, but it still has good sporting aptitude. I really like how fast this motorcycle changes between each of its 6 cogs. When you're riding in a more sport type manner and you come into a corner, the motorcycle back shifts very quickly, so quickly that it doesn't mitigate stability on the rear tire. So the rear tire is always hooked up with traction, and it just gives you almost a sport bike, a modern sport bike level of confidence when you're leaning this thing into turns. Speaking of lean, this Rebel 1100 is outfitted with mid controls. So the foot pegs aren't full in front of you, but they're not in the rear like a conventional motorcycle. They're in a mid position. And this motorcycle still has a surprising amount of ground clearance for a vehicle outfitted with mid controls. I'm not much of a mid control kind of guy. I like just conventional rear controls or full forward controls if I'm riding a bagger or a touring bike. The mid controls are kind of wonky to me, but at the same time, it really makes for a cozy riding position. If you're someone with limited leg mobility, limited knee movement, you can ride this motorcycle very easy. The ergonomics on this package, even though this motorcycle is an 1100cc bike, this motorcycle is very small. I would say that the cockpit actually favors a rider that's smaller than me. I'm 6 foot tall, and I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit cramped. The handlebar has a nice bend. It's not too low, not too high. I like that the rearward sweep isn't too aggressive. So many motorcycle manufacturers, especially street bike manufacturers, are putting these motorcycles with just a ridiculous amount of rearward sweep, and this Rebel doesn't have that. The handlebar could be a little bit more wide, though. It is kind of narrow in my opinion, but the narrowness of the handlebar really fits in with just the slenderness of the cockpit. Like this, if you're a small rider, you're gonna like the way this motorcycle fits you. The seat has a nice dish in it, really cups my rear end nicely, and it also has an extremely low seat height. One neat thing I like about this motorcycle is you pop off the seat, the rider's seat, and it exposes a small storage compartment. It's enough to probably house a 3-pack, if you know what I'm talking about. And there's also an auxiliary USB port, so you can plug in a cable and charge your doodads. So very thoughtful. These days most street bikes have no storage, and so it's nice that Honda integrated a small storage compartment underneath the seat. Well done, Honda. Instrumentation on this motorcycle, we have this round face monochrome backlit LCD. I love these instrument faces. I'm a big fan of the black background with the white fonts. I have a label maker at home, and that is how my label maker is set up. I love it like this. It's easy to read in the sunlight, easy to read at night, and it gives a really modern experience. All the information is right here. We have fuel gauge to keep tabs on the 3.6 gallon capacity fuel tank. We've been averaging right around 45 miles per gallon on this motorcycle. 45 miles per gallon. To be fair though, we haven't really been wailing that hard. Switch gear allows you to adjust the various settings of this motorcycle, the power mode, traction control, engine brake and see these settings, but the switchgear is a little wonky. Honda still has a ways to go with increasing the intuitiveness of the switchgear and making it easier to ride with. I'm sure if I studied the manual for a couple of minutes I could figure it out, but there are definitely other motorcycle manufacturers in the world that are much better at developing intuitive to use instrument panels and electronics. So Honda could learn from them. Braking components on this motorcycle: we have a single hydraulic disc brake up front, hydraulic disc brake at the back, and I like the braking performance on this motorcycle. Yes, aesthetically I wish this bike had a double front brake disc setup. I love, of course, the function but also the look of double disc brakes up front. But to be fair, the performance of this front disc brake works really well. There's plenty of stopping power, a nice sized radial mount caliper up front really gives good clamping force on that brake rotor. The rear brake conversely has a lot of power. I love cruiser motorcycles because they always have really strong rear brakes, and this Rebel 1100 is also employs that same type of feature. ABS, IMU powered ABS, mitigates instability when you're using the brakes too aggressively for the condition of the asphalt. So that's nice. Of course, I wish you could disable ABS so you could slide the back of the bike, but we get it. Chassis. Now, this motorcycle rolls on an 18-inch front and 16-inch rear aluminum wheel. And for only having just under 4 inches of suspension travel out back, this thing rides really well. It goes over the bumps really well. The rebound damping character is not too slow, not too fast. The bike doesn't get pogoey. The damping settings on this bike are really good. I like that you can roll over rough terrain and obstacles and you don't have to worry about the bike riding so roughly. This thing rides very, very well for a cruiser motorcycle. Now, our DCT equipped Rebel 1100 Rebel weighs just over 500 pounds. But my gosh, you would never even think it weighs 500 pounds. This thing feels like it weighs 400 pounds. It is just so agile. I don't know how Honda does it, but they really do a good job of making their motorcycles feel much lighter with wheels spinning than the specification chart says. Full LED lighting lets you stand out on the road. And of course, because it's a Rebel motorcycle, this vehicle has a ton of accessories. American Honda offers a wide range of accessories to allow you to customize these Rebels. The Rebel's also been engineered to be very easy to take apart. Some modern motorcycles are very difficult to take apart and disassemble. This Rebel is not one of them. Of course, the aftermarket has really latched on to the new Rebel as well. And there's a lot of aftermarket accessories, things like slip-on mufflers from Vance and Hines that are 50 state legal. Burley makes nice luggage systems for a couple $100, so you can add some touring functionality to this Rebel 1100 and really make it yours. Aside from the wonky switchgear function and electronic interface, that's really my only real gripe with this Rebel 1100. Also, aesthetically, I wish Honda would have done a better job of hiding these wires on the switchgear, wires up here. You can't see it, but in front of the instrument face there is an awful lot of wiring that is exposed. Yes, Honda's wrapped it in this nice matte black gaffer like tape that's going to stand the test of time, but we'd really like them to work on hiding some of that stuff. That would really raise the bar in the aesthetics department. Aside from that, the fit and finish, the paint work, the way the motorcycle's put together, it is very high quality. For $10,000, you are getting a very high-end and capable cruiser motorcycle. Good job, Honda. It's really incredible the value it offers with this motorcycle. And it's also important to note that this motorcycle is not built in Honda's Thailand factory. This is built in Japan, where Honda started so many decades ago. Good job, Honda. Engine vibration, let's talk about that. We talked about how smooth this parallel twin is for an uneven firing order equipped engine. And the vibrations on this motorcycle are very muted. Yes, there is some vibration felt through the handlebar and foot controls, but it's definitely not overpowering. Just smooth power. Alright guys, we're about to do our photo shoot and our video shoot for our ancillary review on motorcyclistonline.com. We're going to wrap things up when we'll check in with you guys next. But thanks for riding with us. Well, folks, there it is. Honda's 2021 Rebel 1100. 36 years of Honda Rebel. And this is Honda's top dog from here on out. Really like this motorcycle. The aesthetics of it are nice. It's well proportioned. The engine, of course, that parallel twin 1084cc engine, gobs of torque, gobs of power. Honda's dual clutch transmission, once you ride one, you will just, it's a revelation. It makes riding so easy, so fun. Honda has engineered and refined this transmission package to be just so awesome, and it requires literally no maintenance. It is awesome. Would I spend $10,000 on this Rebel 1100? I'm not much of a mid-control cruiser guy, so I personally wouldn't buy this bike. But if I was looking for a cruiser, a functional cruiser-esque type motorcycle for riding in the city, for riding around town, something that looks cool, something that's reliable and has good performance, I would absolutely purchase this $10,000 Rebel 1100. Well guys, that's a wrap from today's special edition MC Commute. Make sure to surf on over to motorcyclistonline.com where you can read the written review. Of course, if you like this content, give it a thumbs up. If you think it's stupid, give it a thumbs up. Thumbs down, I'm sorry. And we'll see you guys next time.